I'm 61, and I just got back from my best friend Tom's funeral. We hadn't seen each other in 9 years, not 'cause we were mad, just 'cause we kept saying we were busy. Standing by that casket, all I could hear in my head was, I wish I had. I wish I had called. I wish I had gone. I wish I had said yes. If you're in your 50s or 60s and you think you've got plenty of time, listen close. I've got 7 hard lessons from a few too many funerals, because today is all we're promised. You wake up at 6:30, same as you did for 30, 40 years. And for a second, you forget. You don't have anywhere to be. You shuffle into the kitchen, pour that coffee, and it just sits there, getting cold, because nobody's rushing you. The fridge is humming like it always does, that steady little buzz, and it feels loud now because the rest of the house is too quiet. You look at that paper calendar on the wall, and it's blank. No meetings, no shift, no lunch with the guys, just empty squares staring back at you. At first, that empty calendar feels like freedom, like you finally got your life back. You take a breath, you sit down, you think, this is it. I made it. But then a week goes by, and the quiet starts to stretch out, like a long hallway you don't know how to walk down. You realize the job didn't just take your time. It gave your day a shape. It gave you a reason to put on pants, a reason to talk to somebody, a reason to feel like you mattered to someone besides your dog and your mailman. Listen, I'm not saying work was some holy thing. A lot of us got chewed up by work, bad bosses, long hours, sore backs, and stress that sat in our chest. But it did one thing. It kept the noise on. It kept you moving. Then you retire, and the noise shuts off, and you're left with you. And if you haven't been alone with yourself in a long time, that can hit you harder than you expected. A lot of people don't say this out loud because it feels weak. Men especially don't like to say it. We were raised to handle our own business. But retirement can make you feel useless. Not because you are useless, but because the world stopped asking for you the way it used to. The phone doesn't ring as much. Nobody needs you at 7:00 a.m. Nobody says, hey, can you take care of this? And that silence, it messes with your head. Then there's the money part, the part nobody likes to talk about at the cookout. You go from a paycheck to Social Security money, maybe a pension if you're lucky, maybe some savings if things went right. You start living on a fixed income, and that changes the way you breathe. You notice prices more. You notice the light bill. You notice the gas. You look at the mailbox like it's going to deliver good news, and half the time it's just junk and bills. Even if you're doing okay, you still feel that little pinch. Like, I can't mess up now. And when money feels tight, people stay home more. They stop going out. They stop seeing folks. They tell themselves they're saving cash, but really they're shrinking their life down. They sit in that same chair, in that same quiet house, and the days start to blur together. That's how the quiet wins. Not in one big punch, but in a slow squeeze. You see it at night, too. Dinner time comes, and it hits different when it's just you. You stand there with the freezer open, staring at some microwave meal, and you're not even hungry. Not really. You eat in front of the TV because the TV gives you voices. It gives you the feeling that somebody's in the room. You tell yourself it's fine. You're just tired. But deep down, you know, it's lonely. And loneliness doesn't always feel like sadness. Sometimes it feels like numb, like you're watching your own life from a few feet away. If you've got a house that feels too big now, you know exactly what I mean. The kids moved out years ago. Maybe they're in another state. Maybe they've got their own mess to deal with. The bedrooms sit there. The hallway stays clean because nobody's walking through it. The garage is half empty, or it's full of stuff you don't touch. Old boxes, old tools, old holiday bins. All that history stacked up like a wall. You open that garage door and it's like looking at time. You can't get back. You don't want to admit it, but sometimes you stand there and think, what am I doing with all this space? So here's the honest part, the part folks don't like to hear. The quiet does not fix itself. If you sit and wait, it grows. You can't just tell yourself to stay busy like it's a switch. And you don't need some big reinvention either. You don't need to go buy a camper, or join a fancy club, or pretend you're 35. You need one small thing that gets you out of that empty hallway and back into the world, even if it's just a crack in the door. Start simple. Start stupid simple. Tomorrow morning, after you drink that coffee, don't sit down right away. Put on your shoes, step out on the porch or the front steps, and just stand there for a minute. Look at your street, the same quiet suburban street with the same driveways and the same trash cans, and breathe. Then walk to the mailbox at the curb. Even if you don't need the mail yet, that's not exercise, that's not some program, that's just you showing your brain. I'm still here, I still move, I still belong out in the world. And if you can do a little more, take the short walk around the block. You don't have to wave like a politician. Just nod. Just be seen. The world starts to feel less cold when you put your body in it. Sitting still all day makes the house feel smaller and your thoughts feel bigger. Moving even a little bit flips that. It gives your day a start and starts mattering again. Now, I know some days you won't feel like it. Some days your knees will talk back, your back will complain, and your mood will be low. Do it anyway, and do it gentle. You're not trying to win a race. You're trying to keep the quiet from eating you alive. That's it. And if you don't have anyone to see, go where people are, without spending much. Go to the local diner for a cheap cup of coffee. Sit there at the counter, even if you don't say much. Let the sound of other lives remind you you're not the only one still trying to figure this out. So if retirement has you sitting in that cold, quiet kitchen, staring at that blank calendar, hear me on this. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling this. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human, and you're in a new season you didn't train for. But you can't wait for the feeling to pass. You have to take one small step and make the day move again. And once you do that, once you get a little motion back in your life, then we can talk about the next weight that sits on a lot of folks after 55 money, the kind of stress that keeps you up at night, even when you're too proud to say it out loud. Part 2. Money not everything. But missing it hurts. Let me tell you where money starts to hurt. It's not in a big speech. It's at a CVS or Walgreens counter. You're standing there with your little paper slip. The pharmacist says the copay, and you pause like your brain needs a second to catch up. You smile and nod, like you're fine, but inside, you're doing math you didn't plan on doing. And the worst part is, it's not a new TV or a trip. It's your pills. It's the stuff you need just to keep going. That's what folks mean when they say money sits on your chest. It's not about being greedy. It's about not wanting to feel trapped. After 55, a lot of us aren't getting raises anymore. We're getting older. You're living on Social Security money, maybe a pension, maybe a little savings. And that's called a fixed income for a reason. It does not stretch just because prices do. So when a bill jumps, you don't work a few extra shifts. You just lose sleep. You go home and there it is, that stack of mail on the kitchen table. A flyer, a coupon book, a letter from the bank, and then the one you don't want to open. The medical bill, you turn it over, you look at the amount, and you feel that heat in your face, like you did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You got older in America. That's what happened. But still, you feel it, that quiet fear that says, how many more of these are coming? And listen, I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to talk straight. A lot of people say, money isn't everything, and that's true. It can't buy you peace. It can't buy you a good night's sleep if your mind is a mess. But missing money is a problem because it takes choices away. It makes you say no to things that would help you, like a doctor visit, like a better meal, like gas to go see a friend. It turns life into survival mode, and survival mode makes you small. Here's another truth. The house never stops costing money. You can pay the mortgage off, and you think you won, and then the water heater dies, or the roof starts leaking right over the spot you put the bucket, like it knows, or the car needs brakes, and you can't ignore it because you like living. And then property tax shows up like a bad joke, and you're sitting there thinking, I own this place. Why does it still feel like rent? So what do we do when the money feels tight? We start cutting the wrong things. We cut people. We cut going out. We cut the little moments that keep us human. We tell ourselves, I'll stay home. It's cheaper. And that's true, but it's also lonelier. Then loneliness shows up, and you try to fix it the easy way, with little treats. And those little treats don't look like a problem until you add them up. You know that Walmart or Costco run I'm talking about. You go in for one thing, paper towels, dog food, maybe some eggs, and then you see the end caps, the snacks, the stuff on sale. You throw in a shirt you don't need, a gadget you won't use, a big bag of something because it was a good deal. Then you get to the car, and you've spent 50, 80, 100 more than you planned, and you don't even feel happy. You just feel tired. That's the trap. Spending to feel better for 5 minutes. Nobody likes to admit it, but a lot of us do it because it's easier than sitting with the quiet. You can't hug a receipt, you can't talk to a new blender, and you sure can't eat your way out of loneliness without paying for it later. So I'm going to say this plain. If you're lonely, shopping will not fix it. It just makes tomorrow harder, and tomorrow is already heavy enough. Now let's talk about keeping up, because this one is dangerous. Some folks are still paying on a new truck because they don't want to feel old, or they don't want the neighbors thinking they're struggling. Some keep the big cable package, all those channels nobody watches, because it feels like giving up if they cut it. Some eat out too much or buy gifts they can't afford because they want to look strong. But pride is expensive, and it don't care if your bank account can handle it. I'm not saying live like a monk. I'm saying stop bleeding out in places you don't even notice. The biggest money leaks are usually not the big stuff you talk about. They're the small stuff you don't track. It's the subscriptions, the fast food, the just this once, the extra driving, the little online buys late at night. And if you don't look, you can't fix it because you're guessing. Guessing is what keeps you stuck. So here's the part where I give you a shove, the kind you might not like, but it helps. Get a plain piece of paper and a pen. Sit at that kitchen table and write 2 lines. On one line, write money in. That's Social Security, pension, whatever comes in each month. On the other line, write money out. And don't make it fancy. Just the big basics first. Housing, food, gas, meds, and then the extras. When you do that, you're not trying to be perfect, you're trying to be honest. A lot of people avoid this because they're scared of what they'll see. But the numbers are already real. Whether you look or not, looking doesn't make you poorer. It makes you smarter. And when you see it on paper, it stops being a monster in your head. It becomes a problem you can work on. Then do one small thing, not 10 things. Just one. Pick one leak you can close today, like cutting one subscription, lowering that cable bill, or deciding you won't do the little stuff aisle at Walmart this week. Maybe it's as simple as leaving the cart at home and taking cash for a grocery run so you can feel the limit. That's not punishment, that's protection. You're protecting your future self from a panic night. And listen, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm too far behind, I want you to hear me. You don't fix a tight money life with one big move. Most folks can't. And that's okay. You fix it with small, steady moves that you can repeat, the kind that don't break you. Shame won't help you. Pretending won't help you. But one honest page of paper will. And once money is a little less scary, you can breathe. And then you can take care of the next thing that matters just as much, your health. Part 3. Health don't wait for the doctor to say. If only you ever sit in a doctor's waiting room and feel your stomach get tight before they even call your name. The old magazines are fanned out on the table, half of them from last year. The TV is on low, like background noise, and that clock on the wall feels like it's judging you. You watch that second-hand move and you think, I should have come in sooner, but you also think, please don't tell me something I can't handle. Then they call you back. And it's the same routine, like an assembly line for getting older. Step on the scale, Then the blood pressure cuff squeezes your arm like it's mad at you, and you try to breathe normal so it looks better. You sit there acting calm, but inside you're praying your numbers don't come back ugly. And that's the funny thing. We'll stress ourselves sick trying to look healthy for 5 minutes. Listen, after 55, your body keeps score, and it does not care about your plans. It doesn't care you wanted one more summer, one more road trip, one more Christmas with everybody under the same roof. If you ignore it, it will collect on you later, and it collects with interest. And the line you never want to hear is the one doctors say too often. If you came in sooner, a lot of us dodge checkups for one simple reason: we don't want bad news. We'll say we're busy, we'll say we feel fine, we'll say we'll go next month. But the truth is, we're scared. Some folks are also scared of becoming a burden. That's a big one, the kind you don't admit out loud. You don't want your kids to have to drive you around. You don't want your spouse to turn into your nurse. You don't want to end up in a chair staring at the TV all day. So we tough it out, and we call it pride. We tell ourselves, it's just getting older, when the truth is, pain is not a personality trait. Bad knees aren't a badge. Chest tightness isn't just heartburn, and getting short of breath walking to the mailbox is not something you should shrug off. High blood pressure doesn't always shout. Blood sugar doesn't always hurt, and that's what makes them sneaky. You can feel fine right up until you're not fine. You know that moment at home when you get up from the couch and your back reminds you who's boss, you push off the armrest, you stand up slow, and your knee gives you that little warning, like, don't get cocky. You laugh it off, you walk it out, and you keep going, because that's what you've always done. But there's a difference between being tough and being stubborn, and a lot of us cross that line without noticing. And then there's the pills, the part nobody brags about. You've got that pill organizer on the kitchen table. Monday through Sunday, little plastic doors like a tiny schedule for staying alive. Or you've got a row of prescription bottles lined up by the sink, and you swear you'll remember which one is which. But you don't always. That stuff is real life now, and it costs real money, and it can get confusing fast when you're tired. That's where the money piece comes back in, because health problems don't just hurt your body, they hit your wallet. Even with Medicare, you still worry about copays. You still worry about the cost of meds. You still wonder what happens if something big comes up. When you're living on Social Security money, fixed income means you don't have a lot of room for surprises. So you put off the visit, thinking you're saving money, and sometimes you end up paying more later, in dollars and in pain. You also have to deal with the hassle, and that hassle is enough to make a person quit. You dig through a drawer for your Medicare card or your insurance card. You get put on hold, you punch buttons, you listen to that tinny music, and you want to hang up. Then there's the paperwork, the forms, the sign here, the fill this out, the stuff that makes you feel like you're back in school and you forgot your glasses. It's annoying. I get it. But don't let annoying become the reason you lose your health. Here's what early visits do. In plain words, they keep small things small. They catch the blood pressure before it wrecks you. They catch the blood sugar before it starts stealing your sight or your feet. They catch the heart stuff before it turns into an ambulance ride. Early visits also give you options, and options are everything when you're older. Waiting takes options away, and once they're gone, you can't buy them back. So if you're sitting there telling yourself, I don't want to know, I'm going to be honest with you. Not knowing doesn't protect you. It just keeps you in the dark while the problem grows. The fear feels worse than the test. It really does, because fear is a movie your mind plays on repeat. Most of the time, the doctor visit is boring, quick, and then you go home, and you're glad you did it. Do one small thing today, one thing you can handle. Put your Medicare card on the table, pick up the phone, and call your doctor's office, just to book a checkup. Nothing fancy. If calling feels hard, ask a family member to sit with you while you do it, not to baby you, just to keep you steady. And when you hang up, write the date on that calendar, because that little ink mark is you choosing not to wait for, if only. Part 4. Family being present isn't the same as being. There, some nights hit different when the house is quiet, and it's just you and the TV. You slide a microwave meal onto a paper plate. You watch it spin, then you sit down and eat in front of the screen. It fills your stomach, but it doesn't fill the room. The quiet comes right back as soon as the fork stops moving. Then you pick up your phone and you stare at your kid's name like it's a locked door. You want to call, you really do, but you hear that little voice in your head saying, "Don't bother them." You tell yourself they're busy, they've got work, they've got their own life, and that's all true. But listen, a lot of us hide behind busy when we're really just scared of feeling unwanted. Most families don't fall apart with a big fight. They fade with small gaps. Your kid moves out of state for work because that's what people do now. They go where the job is. So you see them on holidays, maybe a short visit in the summer, and the rest is just texts and pictures. You say, "We'll catch up soon," and soon turns into months. The distance grows, not because you hate each other, but because life keeps pushing. And the house feels it. You feel it in stupid little places. That hallway stays quiet. No shoes by the door, no backpacks, no noise. The old bedroom sits there. Maybe it's a storage room now. Maybe it's still got a bed in it, but it's not the same. You look at your calendar and there are no school events, no games, no parent nights, just blank space. You don't say it out loud, but it makes you feel like your role got taken away. Here's the hard truth. You can be around and still not be there. You can pay the bills, keep the lights on, keep the car running, and still miss the moments that mattered. I know, because I did it. I was proud of providing. I thought that was love. But later on, I had to face it and say, I was there for the bills, not for the moments. A lot of us were always working. Overtime, job sites, long shifts, second jobs, whatever it took. You come home tired. You sit down. You think you earned the right to be left alone. The kid wants to talk or show you something, and you say, "Not right now," and you don't mean harm, but "not right now" can turn into a whole childhood if you say it enough. Then the years pass and the kid is grown, and you start wanting what you didn't build. You want long talks. You want closeness. You want them to call you just because. But relationships don't run on guilt. They run on time spent and on small moments. You can't buy that back with a big gift at Christmas. You can't fix it with one speech either. And holidays can make it feel worse because they show you what's missing. Thanksgiving comes around. Everyone's in the kitchen. The football game is on, and people are half talking while they scroll their phones. Christmas comes. There's wrapping paper everywhere, and the room is loud, but you still feel a little alone. You try to catch your kid for a real talk, but they're busy. They're bouncing from one person to the next, so you end up with awkward small talk. How's work? How's the weather? And then they're gone again. Now, I'm not here to beat you up. I'm here to keep you from making it worse. A lot of older folks wait for the right time to call, to say sorry, to say I love you. They think it has to be perfect, like a movie. But real life is not a movie. It's Tuesday night. It's 5 minutes in the driveway. It's a quick call between errands. If you wait for perfect, you'll die waiting. So here's how you reach out without guilt trips, without drama, without sounding needy or controlling. You keep it short, you keep it kind, and you don't make it about what they're doing wrong. You can text, "Hey kid, I was thinking about you. You got 5 minutes sometime this week," or you can call and say, "I don't need anything. I just wanted to hear your voice." That's it. No lecture, no scoreboard, no you never call me. If there's hurt between you, you still keep it simple. You don't dump 20 years on them in one call because that will make them shut down. You say one honest line, like, "I know I missed some things, and I'm sorry." Then you stop talking and let them breathe. You don't argue with their feelings. You don't defend yourself like you're on trial. You just show up, steady, and you keep showing up. And if your kid is far away, don't make distance an excuse to do nothing. You can pick one day a week, same day, same time, and make it a short check-in. 5 minutes is enough to keep the door open. If they can't talk, you say, "No problem," and you try again later, without getting bitter. The goal is not to win. The goal is to stay connected. Also, don't forget the people still in your house. If you've got a spouse or a partner, a lot of couples turn into roommates after the kids leave because everything was about work and parenting for so long. Then it's just two people at the table, chewing in silence, watching the same shows, sleeping on the same side of the bed. So listen, ask one simple question. How are you really doing? And then actually sit still long enough to hear the answer. Here's the small action for today, and it's not a big scary one. Pick one person in your family, just one, and send one short text that does not ask for anything. You can say, "Thinking about you. Hope you're okay," and leave it at that. Then put the phone down, and don't stare at it like a slot machine. You're planting a seed, not demanding a harvest. And once you start doing that, once you start making those small, steady moves, you'll notice something. Family gets a little warmer, little by little, and the house feels less like a waiting room. But if you don't do it, if you keep sitting there with the TV on and the phone in your hand, the distance will keep growing. So let's not do that. And next, we need to talk about another thing that slips away when we're not paying attention. Friends. The good ones we let fade just because life got in the way. Part 5. Friends don't disappear. We let them. You ever walk out of Walmart or Costco with your bags cutting into your fingers, and you see two old buddies leaning on their cars, laughing like it's 1995. They're slapping each other on the shoulder, talking loud, telling the same dumb stories, and you can tell they've known each other forever. You stand there by your own car, keys in your hand, and you feel that gut hit, that quick little pain that says, "Man, I don't have my people like I used to." You don't even know why it hurts so bad. It just does. That's the part nobody wants to admit, because it sounds needy, especially men. We were raised to act like we don't need anyone. We'll say, "I'm fine," and we'll mean, "I'm lonely, but I'm too proud to say it." Pride will keep you fed, and it will keep your bills paid, but it can also leave you sitting alone in a quiet house, talking to the TV like it's a friend. And if you've done that, don't laugh. You're not crazy. You're just hungry for people. Here's the truth. Friends don't disappear like smoke. Most of the time. We let them fade. We get busy. We get tired. We move. We change jobs. Our kids take over our schedules. And then one day we look up and the phone is quiet. We tell ourselves, we were just busy. And that turns into 5 years, then 10. Not because anybody was mad, not because anybody hated anybody, just because nobody made the call. And the longer you wait, the harder it feels. You pick up your phone, you scroll down to a name you haven't tapped in forever, and you think, it's been too long. You can feel the awkward coming before it even happens. You start thinking of excuses. He's probably busy. She's probably moved on. What would I even say? Then you put the phone down, and you tell yourself you'll do it another day. That another day is where friendships go to die. Listen, you don't need a big speech. You don't need to explain the whole gap like you're in court. Most good friends don't care about your perfect timing. They care that you showed up. The only thing that kills it is silence. That long stretch of nothing where both people assume the other one doesn't care anymore. And half the time, both people are sitting there missing each other, too stubborn to be the first one to say it. Staying home too much messes with your head, and I'm going to say that plain because it's true. When you spend days in the same rooms, your thoughts get louder. The same worries bounce around. Money, health, regrets, the kids, the bills. You start replaying old stuff, like a bad rerun, and it feels real because it's all you hear. You can't fix that by sitting still. You fix that by letting real people back into your day, even in small ways. And I know what you're thinking. Where do I even meet people at this age? It's not like high school. It's not like the job site. It's not like the old neighborhood where everyone knew your name. But there are places, and you don't have to be charming. You just have to show up. A local diner, the kind with cheap coffee and the same waitress who's been there forever. That's a start. A church hall, even if you only go for the pancake breakfast, that's a start. The VFW or the American Legion, the YMCA, a community center, those places still have people who get it. The first time you go, it might feel weird. You might feel like you don't belong, like you're the new kid, even though you're 70 years old. That's normal. But if you go again and then again, faces start to look familiar. Somebody says hello. Somebody asks where you're from. And just like that, you're not invisible for an hour. That matters more than people think. Now let me talk to the men again for a second, because this is where we mess up. We treat friendship like it's optional, like it's some extra thing for people who like to talk. But friendship is a health thing. It's a mind thing. It's a stay alive thing. When you've got nobody, you stop taking care of yourself, you stop cooking real meals, you stop going out, you stop caring if you shave or if you take your meds on time. You don't notice it happening, but it happens. So I'm going to give you something you can steal, something simple you can say on the phone without feeling like a fool. You call and you say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. You doing okay?" Then you shut up and let them talk. That's it. No long apology, no big story, no pressure. If they're glad to hear from you, you'll know in 2 seconds. If they're busy, you say, "All right, no problem," and you try again later. If you want to text instead, keep it short and clean. "Hey, I saw something today that made me think of you. Hope you're doing all right." Then you don't stare at the phone all day like you're waiting for a verdict. You sent the signal, you opened the door. That's already more than most people do. And if you're thinking, what if they don't answer? Then listen, that's not the end of the world. People have their own mess. Phones get lost, numbers change, life happens. You're not asking them to marry you, you're just checking in. Your job is to reach out, not to control the outcome. Pride hates that. Pride wants guaranteed wins, but real life doesn't give you that. The saddest thing I see is when folks wait until a funeral to reconnect. They stand by the casket and say, "We should have kept in touch." Yeah, you should have. But you're still breathing right now, so you can do something different right now. Don't wait for a disaster to give you permission to call somebody. So here's your small action, and I mean small. Pick one name, just one. On your phone today. Stare at it for 5 seconds, feel the awkward, then press call. Say the line. "Hey, I was thinking about you. You doing okay?" If they answer, great. If it goes to voicemail, leave a simple message and hang up. Then, if you can, take yourself out into the world once this week, even if it's just that diner for a cheap cup of coffee or the YMCA to walk a slow lap, because you don't need 100 friends. You don't need a big crowd. You just need 1 or 2 real people so you're not stuck alone with your own thoughts all day. And once you get that back, even a little bit, you start to remember something important. You are not done yet. Next, I want to talk about that feeling a lot of older folks carry, the one they don't say out loud, the feeling that you're invisible and you're not useful anymore. Part 6, Feeling Invisible. Am I still useful? You ever stand in a checkout line at the grocery store or Walmart and feel like you're not even there? Younger folks rush past, eyes on their phones, carts bumping, nobody looks up. The cashier calls you sir and keeps moving. No name, no real eye contact, just next. It's not that they're evil, it's that the world is moving fast and old people get treated like furniture. Then something small happens and it stings more than it should. You try to say something. Maybe you ask a quick question and somebody talks right over you like you're not finished. Or you step to the side to let someone pass, and you feel like you're always the one getting out of the way. You get back to your car with your bags, and you sit there for a second, and you think, do I matter to anybody anymore? A lot of folks won't say that out loud because it sounds dramatic, but it's real. When the job is gone, the kids are grown, and your body is slower, you start asking, what am I good for now? You used to be somebody with a role. Somebody needed you, even if they complained about you. Now the days are quiet, And the quiet can make you feel like you're fading. You feel it at home, too. That hallway has no noise, no footsteps, no doors slamming, no school events on the calendar anymore. The extra bedroom sits there like a museum, or it's full of boxes, and it still feels empty. You walk past it, and you don't even look sometimes, because looking makes you remember. And when you live like that long enough, you start to believe you don't count. Listen, you're not broken for feeling this way. You're not weak. You're not too sensitive. You're just in a part of life nobody trained you for. Nobody told you that one day you can do everything right, work hard, pay your bills, raise your kids, and still feel like the world has no spot for you. That feeling is common. It's just quiet, because we're all too proud to talk about it. And pride is a big part of this. A lot of us were raised to handle our own business. We don't like asking for help. We don't like saying we need someone. We don't like saying we're lonely, because it sounds like we failed. But that pride can turn into a cage, and you can sit in that cage for years, telling yourself you're fine, while you shrink down into nothing. So here's the truth I need you to hear. If you sit and wait for someone to bring you back, you may wait forever. People are busy, your kids are busy, the world is busy, and nobody is going to knock on your door and say, "Hey, we're ready for you now." That's not how it works. If you want to feel useful again, you have to step into it, even if it feels awkward at first. The good news is, being useful does not have to be big. You don't need a new career. You don't need a grand purpose. You need one small place where your hands, your time, and your heart are used. Something real, something that makes you come home and think, okay, I did something today. Maybe it's helping with grandkids one day a week. Not every day, not full time, just one day where you're the steady one. You pick them up, you make them a sandwich, you listen to their little stories, you help with homework, you show them how to do something with their hands. Kids don't care about your resume. They care that you showed up and that you made them feel safe. Maybe it's helping a neighbor. You know how this goes. An older neighbor's porch light is out, somebody's trash can got left in the street, somebody's screen door is hanging wrong. If you can fix a sink, change oil, tighten a loose hinge, patch a little wood, do basic carpentry, that's gold. These young folks pay a fortune for things we learned in 10 minutes, just by watching our dads, or by messing up and learning. You don't have to lecture. You just show them how to do it right, slow and simple. Maybe it's cooking a meal for someone who's having a rough week, a pot of chili, a pan of cornbread, something cheap, something warm. You can do that on Social Security. You don't need fancy ingredients. You drop it off. You say, "No big deal," and you mean it. That kind of thing makes you feel human again, because you're giving, not just sitting there waiting. And if you don't know where to start, go to a place where people can see you, not online, real life. A church volunteer table, a food pantry, the library, a community center, the VFW or the American Legion, even the local diner where the same folks sit every morning. These places aren't perfect, but they have something precious, faces that become familiar. When someone learns your name, even just one person, it changes the way you carry yourself. I've seen it with my own eyes. A man can walk into a place feeling like a ghost, shoulders down, eyes tired. Then, a week later, someone says, "Hey, good to see you," and his whole body looks different, not because his money changed, not because his knees got better, but because he got seen. Being seen is food, and a lot of older people are starving. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the first step is the hardest. You will feel weird offering help. You will feel weird showing up somewhere new. You will feel like you're in the way. That's normal. But you don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing. Useful doesn't start with confidence. It starts with showing up. So here's your small action for today. Write down one thing you can do with your hands. Just one. Fixing a sink, changing oil, cooking, sewing, whatever it is. Then pick one person or one place, one neighbor, one grandkid, one food pantry, one church hall, one community center, and make one small move. A call, a visit, Do you need help with that? You're not trying to become a hero. You're just trying to become present again. Because you're not done. You still have value, not in some fancy way, in a real way. And once you start feeling useful again, you're going to notice something else too. All that old regret you carry, it starts to loosen its grip. So next, we need to talk about regret, the kind you can't erase, but the kind you can stop making. Part 7. Regret you can't erase it. But you can stop making. More regret doesn't always show up as crying. Sometimes it shows up as dust. It shows up when you're in the garage or the attic, dragging boxes into the light, and the house is so quiet you can hear your own breathing. You open a tote and that smell hits you. Old paper, old fabric, old time. You tell yourself you're just cleaning, but really you're walking through your own past. Then you find something that punches you right in the gut. Maybe it's a wedding photo stuck in the bottom of a box. Edges curled, faces younger than you remember. Maybe it's your old work jacket, the one with paint on the sleeve, the one you wore when you still felt strong. Maybe it's a kid's school thing, a report card, a little trophy, a drawing with your name on it. Or it's a tool you don't even use anymore, and you hold it and think, what was I so busy doing that I missed half my life? That's regret. It's not always a big mistake. Sometimes it's 1,000 small delays. I'll call him tomorrow. I'll take that trip next year. I'll see the doctor when I have time. I'll say sorry when things calm down. Then tomorrow turns into months. Months turn into years. And one day you're standing in your garage holding a piece of your old life like it's a dead bird. Here's the line I need you to remember. You don't get refunds on time. Nobody hands you your years back because you finally learned the lesson. Time is the one bill you can't pay late. And that's why regret hurts, because it's the sound of the door closing behind you. If you're older, you've got your own list, even if you don't talk about it. Maybe you didn't call a buddy back, and you thought you'd get around to it, and then you heard he passed. Maybe you missed your kid's moment, the one game, the one talk, the one night they really needed you because you were working or tired or distracted. Maybe you waited too long to see a doctor because you didn't want bad news, and now you're paying for that wait every morning when you stand up. Or maybe you stayed mad over something small, a stupid argument, pride and stubbornness doing their little dance, and now the silence between you and someone you love feels permanent. And pride is a big part of it. We tell ourselves, I thought I had more time. We tell ourselves, I didn't want to look weak. We tell ourselves, I didn't want to bother anyone. But listen, that pride doesn't keep you warm at night. Pride won't sit with you when the house is quiet. Pride won't hold your hand at the doctor. Pride won't show up at your funeral. Pride is a bad friend. It costs a lot, and it pays you back with loneliness. So what do we do with regret? Do we just sit there and beat ourselves up? No, that's a waste too. You can't go back and fix the past, but you can stop adding new regret today. That's the grown-up truth. Regret is like a leak. If you don't patch it, it keeps dripping, and one day the whole ceiling comes down. In my head, I keep a simple list. Not fancy, just plain. Don't wait on your health, because the body does not forgive delay. Don't wait on money, because small leaks turn into big trouble. Don't wait on family, because love gets cold when you don't use it. Don't wait on friends, because we were busy turns into 10 years. And don't wait on getting out of the house, because sitting alone too long turns your mind against you. Now, I'm not asking you to fix your whole life in one afternoon. I'm asking you to do one hard, small thing, the kind that feels simple on paper, but heavy in your chest. It can be one call, one apology, one appointment, one honest talk. It can be one step outside when you don't feel like it. The action is small, but the meaning is big, because it says, I'm done waiting. Here's the one clear thing you can do in the next 24 hours. Pick one person you've been meaning to reach out to and call them, even if your voice shakes. If calling feels like too much, send the short message. Hey, I've been thinking about you. You got a minute this week? Then stop. Don't add a speech. Don't add excuses. Let the door open. And if the hard thing for you is the doctor, then make the call and put the date on the calendar. If it's your kid, send the message that says, "I'm proud of you, I love you," and don't turn it into a lecture. If it's a friend, say, "I miss you," and let that be enough. You don't need perfect words. You need a real move. Regret doesn't go away in one day, but it gets quieter when you start acting like you still have time. Because you do, you still have some, and that matters. So don't use the rest of your years to replay the years behind you. Use them to do the simple things you kept putting off. All right, now we're not going to stop here and just feel heavy. In the next part, I'm going to give you a simple 7-day reset. Nothing fancy, just a short plan to get you moving again, one day at a time. Part 8, Closing. A simple 7-day reset. All right, listen, we covered a lot, and I know it can feel heavy. We talked about that quiet after retirement, the kind that makes the kitchen feel too still and the days feel too long. We talked about money stress, living on Social Security money, fixed income, and how it sits on your chest when bills show up. We talked about health and how waiting is how you end up hearing. If only, and we talked about family, friends, feeling invisible, and regret, the kind that shows up in dusty boxes. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to fix your whole life in one day. We're going to make it less heavy. Picture this. You're at your kitchen table. The TV is on low in the other room, not because you're watching, but because you hate silence. There's a stack of mail off to the side, maybe a medical bill in there, and maybe your pill organizer is sitting right where you can see it. You grab a cheap notepad and a pen, the kind you'd use for a grocery list, and you write at the top, 7 days. This is not a dream plan. This is an old-school plan, like a budget, simple and plain. Day 1 is about people, because loneliness is a liar, and it gets loud when you're alone. On day 1, you call or text one person. Keep it short. You don't write a novel. You don't explain the last 10 years. You just say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. You doing okay? If you get a good talk, great. If you don't, you still did your part." The point is not a perfect conversation. The point is you reached out instead of sitting there waiting. Day 2 is health, because your body does not care about your pride. On day 2, you book a checkup, or at least you make the call and put it on the calendar. Put your Medicare card on the table, call the office, and write the date down like it's real, because it is. If you're scared, do it scared. And if you need somebody to sit with you while you call, that's not weakness. That's just being smart. Waiting is how small problems turn into big ones. Day 3 is money, because money stress makes everything else worse. On day 3, you look at the numbers, just once, no drama. You write money in, and you write money out, and you do it with that pen right on that notepad. Then you cut one small leak. 1, not 10, maybe a subscription, maybe a cable package you don't use. Maybe you stop doing those little extra Walmart runs that turn into $100. This isn't about shame, it's about control, because on a fixed income, you need control more than you need hope. Day 4 is getting out of the house, because sitting inside too long makes your mind mean. On day 4, you go where real people are, even for 10 minutes. Walk to the mailbox, take a short walk around the block, or go to the local diner for a cheap coffee and sit there. You don't have to talk to everybody, you just have to be around life. The point is to remind your brain you still belong in the world. Day 5 is being useful, because feeling invisible is poison. On day 5, you do one useful thing for someone, just one. Help a neighbor carry something, fix a small thing, cook a meal, watch the grandkid for an hour, or show up at a food pantry and ask where you can help. You don't have to spend money to be useful, especially if you're living on Social Security. You just need to show up with your hands and your time. Useful people sleep better. That's the truth. Day 6 is your space, because clutter holds old pain. On day 6, You clear one small spot, not the whole house, no big cleaning marathon that breaks your back. One drawer, one shelf, one corner of the garage. That's it. You pick 5 items and you give them away, or you toss them, and you don't stand there for an hour debating. You're not throwing away your life. You're making room for the life you still have. Day 7 is warmth because you need something that feels human. On day 7, you share a meal or coffee with someone, even if it's simple, even if it's just pancakes at the diner. If nobody can meet, then you do one kind thing for yourself that is not shopping, not buying junk to fill a hole. Cook a real meal. Take a slow walk. Sit at the library for a bit. Go to the community center, the YMCA, the VFW, the American Legion, a church hall, anywhere you can be seen without spending much. The point is comfort, not consumption. Now listen, this plan is not about being perfect. The goal is less heavy, not perfect. If you miss a day, you don't throw the whole week in the trash like it's ruined. You just pick up where you left off. Old people get stuck because they think if they can't do it all, they should do none of it. That's a lie. One small step still counts, and small steps add up. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Pick one day from that list and start today. Even if you only do the smallest version of it, text one person, walk to the mailbox, write one line of money in, make one phone call for a checkup. Do something that proves you're still the one driving this car, not your fear, not your pride, not your regret. And if you're sitting here thinking about the next hard stuff, like what happens if you can't live alone, or how to talk to your adult kids about help, or what to do about wills and paperwork, yeah, we can talk about that too. We'll get to nursing homes, living with family, and planning ahead without losing your mind. But for now, keep it simple. Pick one step, start today, and don't wait.